Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to this special transmission in which we are celebrating Pakistan's Independence Day. 74 years have passed since 14th of August 1947 gave the Muslims of the subcontinent a place to call their own, a place where they could profess their lifestyle and their religion with the utmost freedom. It also gave the freedom to the different minorities that continue to remain as part of Pakistan, the minorities that are represented by the white in our flag. How important is the understanding of what Pakistan means to us in this day and age when Pakistan is being confronted by many challenges. Today, as you can see in the parallel window as well, there were a lot of festivities that happened, and change of guard ceremonies were held at the Mazar-e-Qaid, at the Mazar-e-Iqbal in Karachi and Lahore, a 31-gun salute in the capital, 21-gun salutes in the provincial capitals as well. Messages from our President and our Prime Minister Imran Khan on the resolve to move the country forward, what it means to be part of a country as important as Pakistan in this day and age. Now, without further ado, let me introduce you to my three guests, my three panelists who are here, that represents different segments of the society. In fact, I would rather say different generations, but at the same time extremely informed of what Pakistan is and what Pakistan means to us in this day and age. On my very right is Dr. Farah Naz. She's an expert in foreign affairs. Dr. Farah Naz, it's a pleasure to have you on board in our show.
Thank you.
Next to Dr. Farah Naz is Dr. Sayyid Wiqar Ali Shah. He's a historian. Sir, it's a pleasure and thank you to have accepted our invitation.
My pleasure.
And last but not the least is Raja Saad Ejaz. He's a National Youth Council member. It's also an initiative of the current government to get the youth of Pakistan together in order to get their feedback on what needs to be done to bring the country forward. Thank you very much,
Thank you so much.
Raja Saad Ejaz, to have joined us. Let's begin with you, Dr. Farah Naz. Dr. Farah Naz, Pakistan, we've all grown up in that country. We all understand the importance of the country, and we are all confronted nowadays, as I talk a lot in my shows as well, about the different challenges that are confronted by our country, whether it be nationally, regionally, or globally. Do you feel that we are moving forward at the right pace? And do you feel that the measures that have been taken by our government, by our forces, in order to thwart all the designs that have been wanting to destabilize Pakistan one way or the other have succeeded?
I think, first of all, Omar, happy Independence Day.
Same to you.
Thank you. I would say is that in the past 74 years, I won't bring these years, this government. I'm not saying that I'm what's standing for the government, but generally, whatever happened in the previous governments, there were several mistakes made, and I think overcoming the challenges that the state was facing to bring the state towards betterment, I think that was neglected somewhere. Recently, when several stances have been taken, like the absolutely no, I would call it, that was really, really needed. I believe in recently that if you become scared of your friends and allies all the time, and you are somebody who is saying yes to them all the time, they probably will take you for granted. So to make yourself known that, okay, we are friends, we are together, we can overcome the challenges and difficulties that the region is facing, and if we are together, we can do it. It's not like a master and slave game. It's just like something who can, like the teams can work together and can overcome that. So I would say is recently, in this term of government, whatever measures they are taking, I think is leading and moving towards development of the country and the people. The pace is slow. I won't say that they are really at a high pace, but yes, they have already taken the steps towards betterment of the nation.
All right. Yeah. Let's go to our second guest, Professor Dr. Sayyid Wiqar Ali Shah Sahab. I'll quote Quaid-e-Azam because you're a historian, and I would love to hear more about what Pakistan stood for, what happened in the first days of after independence, because I've heard a lot of stories from my elders, from my father, from my grandparents as well, as to what they saw when Pakistan came into being. And you know the passion with which they talk about Pakistan, and Pakistan as an independent state for them, a place where they can breathe freely with the utmost confidence, is something that a lot of people now do not understand. Now, Quaid-e-Azam said, with faith, discipline and selfless devotion to duty, there is nothing worthwhile that you cannot achieve. How important is all of this in this day and age when you look at the past, when you look at all the sacrifices that the countless people of the subcontinent made in order to create Pakistan?
Thank you very much for providing me this opportunity to express my views on something very important. Actually, when you talk of people's movement, leadership is very important. And one of my senior colleagues, he worked on the charisma of Quaid-e-Azam, Dr. Sikandar Hayat. He published a book many years back, The Charismatic Leadership. And often we discussed the charisma of Quaid-e-Azam, which was important because if the leader is not a charismatic person, a charismatic personality, then the chances of success are very few. You see, I worked, this is my expertise, the last 10 years before partition. And this was the time when Quaid-e-Azam emerged as a charismatic leader. I will not say that I saw the Qaid, but through lens of my research, I felt the Qaid. All these days, starting from 1936 to 1947, 48 rather than. But you see the way he struggled during the initial 2-3 years, it was really challenging years for him. I'm a student of history as well as a teacher of history, so I'll narrate something from.
Of course, I would love that because you know, a lot of our people, our youth, do not know all the challenges that were confronted by the people when they made Pakistan an independent state for the Muslims of the subcontinent.
So in 1936, when the elections to the assemblies were announced on both provincial as well as central level, then Quaid-e-Azam Jinnah, he recently was back from London and he was elevated to the position of the president of All India Muslim League. So he decided to start the electioneering from Punjab. In this connection, he wrote a letter. He respected the Punjab leadership. He wrote a letter to the strong man of unionism, Sir Fazl Hussain, and he requested him to preside the first meeting of Muslim League in Lahore, election meeting. But you see what happened? Instead of replying positively to Quaid-e-Azam Jinnah, he wrote another letter to Sir Sikandar Hayat, his second important man who was then in Punjab, and Mia Fazl Hussain was in Delhi. And he warned him not to allow this man to enter Punjab because he accused Quaid-e-Azam of being a communalist. And he wrote in that letter that Punjab, the communal harmony of Punjab, this will be shattered if you allow this person to come to Lahore.
All right.
And then this was really, not a good reply, a very negative reply to Jinnah. But Jinnah came, and they had some, there were some meetings in Lahore and other important cities. Then from Lahore, he moved to Peshawar, October 1936, and there was no Muslim League in the Northwest Frontier. The same afternoon when he arrived in Peshawar, he was met by Dr. Khan Sahib, the elder brother of Bacha Khan, accompanied by 2-3 other lawyers. And everything was conciliatory gesture towards Quaid-e-Azam Jinnah. And they informed him that, okay, we welcome you to the Northwest Frontier, and if you need our help and support in organizing the public meeting, they offered their help and support because they knew there was no Muslim leaguer on the name even in the Northwest Frontier. So Quaid-e-Azam was happy with this gesture. Then, yes, what was the election result? Punjab, totally disappointment for League. There were only 2 Muslim members. One was Malik Barkat Ali from Lahore. The other one was Raja Ghazanfar Ali from Pind Dadan Khan Jehlam. And when the Unionist Ministry was formed, Raja Ghazanfar Ali, he joined Unionism. So Malik Barkat Ali was the sole voice in Punjab. Mind you, this is 1937.
Of course.
Northwest Frontier, no one, not even a single person contested election on League ticket. Sindh, yes, some leaguers, but they fought the election on individual basis. Then a group emerged, and it was known as Sayyid Group, GM Sayyid Group, another was Ulama and Hidayatullah group. So they fought the elections on individual basis.
All right.
But then they joined Muslim League. The only Muslim majority province where Muslim League had a success, it was Bengal.
All right.
And immediately after the election results were announced, Muslim League entered into coalition with Fazlul Haq.
All right.
And they formed a coalition ministry. The importance of League can be judged from this fact that Leaguers were given 4 portfolios out of 6.
All right.
Then, when I said in the beginning it was a challenging task for Jinnah, because Muslim League did not fare well in the elections.
But how did the Muslim League emerge as the party that led to the creation of Pakistan?
I'm coming to this. So they requested Jawaharlal to accommodate them in UP ministry. They requested for 2 seats because they wanted to give one portfolio to Khaliq Zaman and the other one to Nawab Ismail. But Congress refused.
All right.
Jawaharlal was very arrogant. His reply was arrogant. And he offered only 1 slot. So then Quaid-e-Azam Jinnah was begging. But you see, within months, the situation was not that. In October 37, the premiers of 3 Muslim majority provinces, Fazlul Haq, Sir Sikandar Hayat, and Saadullah from Assam, they shared the same stage with Quaid-e-Azam Jinnah, and they announced joining Muslim League.
All right.
So Quaid-e-Azam was totally a changed person now.
All right.
Onwards then,
And then
you
he gained strength.
see him in a quite aggressive posture.
All right.
Earlier he was begging something, but now he wanted to impose something, and then started the step towards the achievement of Pakistan.
All
you
right.
see, the next 10 years, yes, it was a quite hard journey, but he achieved it.
Of course, and we are testament to the fact that
Yes.
we are sitting now here talking inside a country, inside the capital of a country that was, that was made independent by the efforts of Quaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah and all the other leaders that accompanied him.
And he knew that he was ill. He had TB, tuberculosis. He knew it. He did not disclose it even to Fatima Jinnah,
All right.
his sister. But you see, he struggled hard.
Of course.
And 18
His
hours,
resolve, his passion was there, Dr. Saab.
18 hours a day working for a frail man like Jinnah, it was too much.
Of course.
And the cost was very high. And within, very short time of Pakistan being made, he was no more.
Of course.
And
But,
you see,
but it's a very important, point of time, the time between 37 and 47, and how you narrated to us the way the Muslim League gained strength after strength, and of course, their efforts led to the creation of Pakistan. I'll come to you, but let's go to our youngest member, and that is Raja Saad Ejaz. I was going through the tweets of our Prime Minister Imran Khan, and as we see that the current government gives a lot of importance to the youth, he said his message on Independence Day, especially for our youth. These 3 characteristics, truth, justice and valor, transform ordinary human beings into great ones. How much is that resolve present inside the youth of Pakistan to bring about that change in the country, to bring about that difference so that Pakistan becomes stronger with every passing year, as has been enunciated by our Prime Minister?
Thank you so much. First of all, happy Independence Day to
Thank you very
all
much.
the Pakistani fellows and Pakistanis. And because I belong to Kashmir, and I hope and I wish that someday sooner we will also celebrate independence with Pakistan.
Inshallah.
And when coming to the Prime Minister's statement, and I'll start with the work that this government has been doing for the youth. Because we have been seeing, like in the history of Pakistan, we have been seeing that youth has always been an important, place, had an important place in the country. Like right now, it's more than 65% of the population of Pakistan. But it has never been that much focus for any government as much as it is for this government, for Imran Khan himself. So this initiative that he has taken, this initiative that has been taken by Kamyab Jawan program, they have empowered youth. They have 3 E's for that: employment, education, and engagement. So they are actually giving platforms to the youth. Because as you see, a big issue of the youth that we face in the country is unemployment. So this government has actually addressed that issue, and they are actually providing the opportunities for the employment, not just not just in the job sectors, but through the loans.
But Saad, how important is for the youth of Pakistan also to understand what Pakistan stands for and to work together with that resolve to make Pakistan stronger?
Yeah, so you see, as I mentioned, it is more than 65% of the nation. So if the government is trusting us and putting us in the position that we can control things and we can represent the country, so I think youth has this responsibility that we have to be, as you mentioned in the tweet, the truthful and all the objectivity. We have to follow that. We have to focus that, because in this era, we are globalized. It's not just in our own country. We are being represented internationally. We have to be the face of Pakistan throughout the world, because we are currently in a crisis. This country has suffered through 20 years, 30 years of terrorism crisis and a lot of international pressures.
All right.
So this is our responsibility for the youth to, in the future, that we make the positive face of Pakistan.
All right. Dr. Farah Naz, I'll quote what Quaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah said. My message to you all is of hope, courage and confidence. Let us mobilize all our resources in a systematic and organized way and tackle the grave issues that confront us with the grim determination and discipline worthy of a great nation. Let's talk about the grave issues, Dr. Farah Naz. Every decade has seen a new set of issues that has confronted Pakistan. But currently, we see a lot of different things like hybrid warfare, like the Afghanistan issue, like Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir, like the challenges that confront Pakistan on different fronts, nuclear and terrorism and so on and so forth. What needs to be done in your point of view as far as to confront these challenges? Let's begin with the hybrid warfare. Because hybrid warfare is something that touches us on different levels. We open our mobile phones, it's there. We open our television, it's there. We open our computers, it's there on the internet. How should we understand what's right and what's wrong? And looking at what our nation is bestowed with, thanks to what Quaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah and all the other leaders gave us in 1947, do you feel that we understand what is right or wrong? And if we do not, what needs to be done?
Yeah, if I pick up like hybrid war, I'm already about to finish a book on that.
All right.
So we need to understand the various concepts of war throughout the decades that you are referring to, from kinetic to non-kinetic, then conventional, non-conventional, and followed by the fourth generation and now the fifth generation warfare. This is, I think, more alarming, the fifth generation warfare that is also called hybrid warfare, which incorporates media, economy, politics, propaganda, fake news, and every day we are confronting with several challenges, which is coming in the form of fake information and misinformation and disinformation. So to confront, I think, this media warfare these days, social media warfare, this is very important. Narrative warfare, the way narratives are built and created and from where it is picked up, right? So the first person, like if I tell you a story and I'm telling it to you and you pick it up, so you become a prone to that. This is how hybrid warfare plays its character in today's war age. So for that, in terms of youth, what Saad was referring to, I would say better awareness and responsibility is required of all of us.
But how should we know what is right, what is wrong? The way sometimes events and things are narrated, and I'm talking of narrative,
yes.
It's propagated and it's posted in such an effective manner that especially the youth of Pakistan don't understand where they are
going.
They're
naive. I would say like they're very naive. They don't know what kind of game is taking place around them. And these days whenever you open social media platforms, by the time you will be getting the details, probably you will be ending up somewhere else. The narratives will take you somewhere else. So in my book, I am more emphasizing on that, well, it's a cluster of so many segments of the hybrid war, but narrative warfare that I'm taking care of, in that I am focusing more on that the state should have a central narrative. I'm not saying that the state of Pakistan is not having it only, America is also not having it. So once you have a central narrative, that central narrative flows to all institutions of the government and non-governmental institutions as well. So from there, that narrative is floated throughout the population, every age group and all. So it's easy to know how to think, what to know. And along with that, awareness is required.
All right.
And double checking the information. I always teach my students that even for your academic work, whatever you are reading, quoting, and researching about, find the details of the authors, because we all authors hold their biases. And I am a very good example that if I can share my own experiences, that us academics and researchers, when we are publishing some work, let's say in the West, and if it comes with something that could be either pro-Pakistan, anti them, they will never publish in their journals.
All right.
But if there is something which could be against somewhere in Pakistan, you just dare to, and top-notch journals, they will be happy to publish it.
All right.
So these biases we need to tell our students that.
That's a very important point,
Yeah.
biases. Dr. Syed Wiqar Ali Shah Sahab, being a historian, having read and written such a lot, how important is building a narrative to understand what Pakistan stands for every generation, for generations such as yours, for generations such as mine, and for generations such as Saad's?
The first ingredient, the first thing is to create the sense of belonging to this area, to your own country. And unfortunately, this is missing in our case.
And why is it
Why?
missing?
Yeah, this is more important that why it is missing. Because we are not teaching the real story of Pakistan even to our children.
All right.
And always, as Dr. Sabha pointed out, we look to others. And they are telling the stories of our ancestors. They are informing us about Pakistan movement. All because we are not tolerating our own voices of dissent. So she pointed out something very important in historical writing. You see, there are two words very important for the researchers: objectivity and tolerance. Objectivity first and then tolerance. And until you tolerate the dissenting voices amongst your own self, it is not possible to write a real story.
You need to get to know different aspects of what something stands for, and then try to make a justifiable decision.
You have to tell about the good and bad things.
Of course.
Because if you wanted to portray yourself as Mr. Clean, as 100% okay, no one is going to believe. And we are confronting it when we go outside Pakistan.
All right.
This is my personal experience.
You need to understand different aspects of the coin. I mean, different sides of the coin.
You have to bear the criticism upon your own self. And my insistence always is upon to know thyself. Know yourself first, then you will be in a better position. I mean, this is a bit unfortunate, but we are not teaching our children the life histories, the stories, the accounts of our own heroes, those who belong to this region, to this country. For example, in curricula, Khushal and Rahman is missing, Bulle Shah, and poets from of Punjab, they are missing. How many people know about? I mean, my German colleagues, they worked on Lal Shahbaz calendar. He is director of State Museum Munich. He wrote a very interesting book, Rotus calendar or Lal Shahbaz calendar. So then Anne Mary Schmill, she wrote on the Sufis of Sindh. So this is a bit unfortunate that we are not covering this area.
Let's go to the young man and ask him that. Raja Saad Ejaz Sahab, Dr. Saab pointed out something very interesting about Pakistan's rich culture, traditions, the people, those who made Pakistan, those for which Pakistan stands for, the different colors of Pakistan, you know. To know Pakistan properly, you need to understand all its different angles, colors and aspirations in a proper manner. Do you feel, Saad, that our youth understands that? Because to understand what Pakistan stands for, to understand Pakistan's narrative, it's very important that the youth are indulging themselves in different forms of information in order to take a solid decision for themselves.
As Wiqar Sahab said, it is very important for us to know about the regional heroes, because we have been always taught about the heroes that came from outside land, and we really need to work on our curriculums to educate the young ones, the upcoming ones, to know the real history, because it is all distorted. It is very much distorted.
All right.
As Ma'am Farah said, that we are facing through this culture of misinformation.
So biases.
Exactly, a lot of biasness and misinformation has been fed to us, and we have been raised to hate. I don't know for what reasons, but we are always in our textbooks, we have been taught there are so many things that shouldn't have been there, and that it should have been in a different way. So it can be a better way if we
But
follow
how
this
are people
advice.
like yourselves, for example, making that change in order to make those children who are now growing up cognizant of what Pakistan stands for?
So the thing is, first you have to break this barrier of following the things that you have been fed. You have to see apart from that. You have to get yourself one step ahead and see what is actually going outside, not just what we know. And then we, for example, us, like we are right now representing the youth of Pakistan, the National Youth Council. So we have this responsibility that we need to work on this thing, this education thing, that for the next generations they should not known like us. They should have more information, and they should have accurate information.
All right. Dr. Farah Naz, our Prime Minister said today on the eve of the independence of our country that Pakistan today can stand tall amongst the community of nations. Pakistan has done a lot. We are a nuclear state now. We are slowly and steadily moving forward as far as economy is concerned. We are being recognized by different countries across the world. And a lot of countries do not like us as well in our neighborhood because of that, because we are getting stronger. When it comes to, I'll come back to Pakistan's narrative and hybrid warfare and Pakistan being a nuclear power and the challenges that are being confronted from two borders, especially from the border with Afghanistan and the border with India. Do you feel that our identity is still strong? Do you feel that the different mechanisms through which these spoilers have been trying to degrade or defame our identity and what we stand for, do you feel that is being thwarted slowly and steadily? And if not, what more needs to be done?
I think, Omar, we are strong. That's why we are Pakistan, an independent state still standing there in the Committee of Nations. Yes, I think we have challenges on both fronts, India and borders with India and Afghanistan. But we are dealing with them very carefully and very keenly, right? When you were even asking and drawing this question towards me, a tweet came to my mind a few days back when the Taliban, they were capturing Ghazi, what is it called? Ghazni. And there was a missile tested here in Pakistan, Ghazni, and Indians were referring to the, same timing, the timing and everything. So they were even getting goosebumps that how come this is happening? Are they both on the same page or not? So I think in this age, whatever makes us Pakistan as strong as we are today is the nuclear power. If we were not a nuclear power state, probably we would have been sucked very long ago. I won't say even now, long ago we have been sucked by the superpowers. And they do hold a lot of, spoiling system here, like the FATF, the IMF, and through all those programs, they are bringing us to their terms, right? So if we were, and even like when the Indian nuclear what's called the weapons and all, they were going through retesting times. At that time, nobody was saying that Pakistan, being who is always and always targeted in terms of terrorism and militancy and supporting Taliban and this and that, nobody was saying that still their nuclear weapon technology, everything is under control. It never came into the limelight.
Of course.
Yeah, but nobody was at the same time even talking about the Indian side of it. So this shows that despite so many odds, we are still standing very tall and strong today.
We are standing very tall and strong today. But Dr. Saab, there's one thing that when I talk to different segments of the society, a lot of people don't answer that question to me properly, apart from those who are of your age or a bit younger. What is Pakistaniyat? What is patriotism?
I mean, I'll come back to my talk, which I, my own words, which I uttered a few minutes back, to create better Pakistaniyat, you have to accept the diversity. You have to tell them that this is a very beautiful country inhabited by not only one ethnic community but various ethnic communities.
Of course.
Starting from Gwadar to Azad Kashmir to Gilgit-Baltistan to Pushtunkhwa to Punjab to Sindh and Balochistan. And you have to accept this diversity in its own beauty in this country, one thing. And then my passion is to create sense of belonging to this country. And the only way to this is to teach the children the genuine history. I'm happy that the young man sitting on my right, he understands this point, that history has been distorted. Because why we are not owning these two ancient civilizations? We are proud of Indus, we must be proud of Indus Valley civilization and Gandhara Valley civilization. Then why you are denying that this is an old country? Yes, new people, old country, new people. And why you are starting your history from Muhammad bin Qasim? 712, this is one, yes, part of history, a segment of history, that the Arabs, they invaded India in 712. And then even you are not providing the details correctly. They came via Makran. Because already then part of Makran, this was under the Arab dominance.
Of course.
Yeah, and so these are some major challenges. And
there are, of course, challenges that we need to cater to and we need to understand and we need to educate.
Until you revise your curriculum and introduce genuine history, this vacuum, it will be very difficult to fill.
All right. Raja, Saad, Ejaz, when we talk of our freedom fighters, whether it be those who gave us Pakistan to live a life as freely as possible, whether it be those freedom fighters that are working in Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir to free that part from the brutalities of India, and of course give the people the right to self-determination, something that has been asked since, God knows, more than 70 years now. Do we know who gave their lives for the freedom of our country, that is Pakistan, amongst the youth? You're part of the National Youth Council. And you talk a lot, you discuss a lot about the different ways and means in which the youth of Pakistan need to move forward in order to make Pakistan stronger. But a part of making Pakistan stronger is also to understand the sacrifices of those who laid down their lives to make this country, that is Pakistan, independent for the Muslims of the subcontinent. Do people like yourselves know who those freedom fighters are, knows who those leaders are, just apart from a certain number that we talk about very regularly?
First, I would also like to add this thing that you asked him about Pakistaniyat. It is, Pakistaniyat, we should understand this, that it is about loving the people of Pakistan. The people, not just the piece of land or just the map. So this is actually, we should understand. And as you asked about the historical sacrifices that have come in making Pakistan, if we see into that, then it was in an occupation of more than 200 years by British. So this freedom, fight for freedom started way back from 1857, the war of that. And so if we start from that to 1947, there are so many sacrifices, so many people that have played an important role, like so many people, I mean, maybe I can't even name them, but we should remember them. We only know one or two names that are very much visible, but there are other names as well that should be taught, and without any biasness and without any like, okay, they were Indians or we were Pakistanis or something, because the freedom fighting, the struggle was together before that. So it was a struggle against the occupation, an illegal occupation of more than 200 years. So in that reference, yes, we do understand it. We do understand the sacrifices that have been given in taking this Pakistan, and I hope that the more that the countries which are struggling, and like Palestine and Kashmir, so there we have been giving sacrifices, like more than 100,000 people of Kashmir have given sacrifices, but we are still in the process of freedom, and I hope that soon we will achieve that.
We are still in the process of understanding what that freedom means for us. I mean, I would like to rephrase what you've just said.
Definitely.
My last set of questions to all of three of you, starting from you, Dr. Farah. What is your resolve today on 14th of August 2021? What do you want to see in your country, and what kind of efforts will you make to make Pakistan stronger?
I think whatever little I can do in my capacity is giving a message of tolerance to everyone. Be tolerant to one another, accept diversity. There's no harm in becoming or accepting yourself as Asian. Being West or Western ideologies and the way we dress up and stuff, it's cool. But like, there's no harm in having Asian outlook and Asian way of life and Asian way of thinking as well. And for that, I think tolerance and diversity, accepting both of them, is very important. So I would love to see the youth to become more tolerant towards one another.
All right, Dr. Syed Wiqar Ali Shah Sahab, what is your resolve today? You have read through such a lot of history and historical facts and figures and quotes of those who laid down their lives, who worked for making Pakistan a stronger country. What is your resolve today, in this day and age, for Pakistan to become a stronger country?
So my message,
apart from education,
my message is very simple: peace, love, and of course, accept the diversity in this beautiful country.
All right, because without that, I can totally understand, and I relate to what you're saying. We cannot be one, you know. We will always be fingers who are detached from one another. We need to be one fist in order to that, and for that we have to understand and accept each other's diversity.
Yeah.
Exactly. Saad, what is your resolve? Being a youth, this is you are that segment of the populace of Pakistan that we all look forward to. We all pin our hopes to.
High hopes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What is your resolve? What is the resolve of other youth like yourself to make Pakistan an eminent, a stronger, a more resilient nation?
So the thing is, because we are the future and we have to reshape it. We have to let go of the extreme mindset. We have to get acceptance in ourselves. We have to, like we're wearing the flag, so we have to respect the white part of the flag, we have to respect the green part of the flag, and we have to treat all of us equally without any bias of religion, sect or any nationality or anything.
All right. Thank you very much to all three of you, Dr. Farah Naz, Professor Dr. Syed Wiqar Ali Shah Sahab, and Raja Saad Ejaz, to have joined us, to have given us three different perspectives of what you feel patriotism stands for, of what your thought process is today on the 14th of August 2021, and what you need and you feel needs to be done in order to make Pakistan, our country, a stronger nation, so that we tomorrow can tell our children that, you know, this is our country, this is your country, and this is the country you need to work for and continue to strive for, despite the odds, despite your diversity, despite your background, despite your race, despite your religion. You are Pakistani at the end of the day.
If I add on to that, Omar,
Please.
We need to give this message to the youth. Be proud of who you are.
That is so
Don't be
important.
ashamed of yourself, no matter where you are standing today in the world, in the country, in your culture and all. Just be proud of yourself. Be yourself. Don't portray yourself to be someone else. I think the day we learn this message, we will improve.
That is so true. Ladies and gentlemen, on this 14th of August 2021, what kind of resolve should we make? I ask you this question. Think about it. As an elderly, as a young man or woman, or as a middle-aged person, you need to rethink your priorities of where you stand as far as Pakistan is concerned, of what you can do in order to make Pakistan stronger, whether it be a cleaner and greener Pakistan, whether it be a militarily stronger Pakistan, whether it be a Pakistan that we can stand for despite what we are, who we are, which background we belong to, and thwart any such attempts that are coming our way and will continue to come our way, because, ladies and gentlemen, until we are not strong, until we are not as one, we cannot confront these challenges. And in this day and age, on this 14th of August, it becomes even more pertinent for us to understand what patriotism is, what Pakistaniyat is, and what it means to be part of a country, and understand the sacrifices of all those who laid down their lives and are still laying down their lives in all of these operations across the country to make Pakistan stronger, to make Pakistan independent. I will end with these three letters that our Qaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah said: unity, faith, discipline. I'll add to that justice and fair play. Think about that. Make yourself a better person, make your society stronger, and make our country a stronger Pakistan. Allah Hafiz, and happy Independence Day to all of you. Thank you.